Aizen versus Saitama. Today we are going to be learning us about who would win in a fight between Aizen versus Saitama, brought to us by Professor Fiction. Let's get it.
A common trend in One Punch Man is when the villain bodies all the heroes, starts monologuing about how invincible and powerful they are and how they will defeat Saitama before getting one punched. So, how would the god of yapping, the one who will stand atop the heavens, the man who was unrivaled in this entire Soul Society, Sosuke Aizen, stand up against the One Punch Man? Would he start one of his generic monologues about how powerful he is, then get one tapped? Or will Saitama lose to one of these Shonen Jump heavy hitters? The first question we need to ask is whether Saitama would even be able to see Aizen. As Bleach fans will tell you, Soul Reapers like Aizen are invisible to those who don't have strong spiritual powers. It's also shown much later in the series that Aizen can erase people when they get too close to him and touch his overwhelming spiritual pressure when he has way more spiritual pressure than they do, let alone no spiritual pressure like Saitama. So would Saitama just get erased from being in the same room as Aizen? Would he not even realize Aizen is there and just go to the store? Unfortunately for Bleach fans, it's not quite that cut and dry. For starters, Saitama actually can perceive and interact with spiritual beings. During Child Emperor's battle with Phoenix Man, the monster creates a spiritual space called the Phoenix Space that connects the two mentally. This space, which exists only in Phoenix Man and Child Emperor's mind, proceeds to get busted into by Saitama, and Phoenix Man actually leaves because he's so threatened by Saitama, despite being a spirit. During his battle with Dangai Ichigo, Aizen believes that Ichigo traded his spirit energy for raw physical strength in an attempt to beat him, but it won't work because he is stronger. Aizen never says that Ichigo can't win without spirit energy, but rather that he's just not strong enough. If Aizen, one of the top intellects of the Soul Society, thinks that raw physical strength could overwhelm spirit energy if they're strong enough, I think it's fair to say that it's true. That alongside the fact that Saitama actually straight up punches through spiritual dimensions, he should be able to see Aizen and be able to fight him if he's strong enough. And also, the video is Saitama versus Aizen. Let's be real. You want to see Saitama fight Aizen? So let's talk about that. With all that in mind, we can now start discussing who's actually more powerful between these two. By the way,
In hindsight, that's probably a pretty long winded, roundabout way to just say that for the sake of argument, we're going to equalize things so that Saitama can see Aizen outright. At the same time, though, I do understand I do get why it would be good to just pose arguments and cover your cover your bases anyways, because in order to make arguments for both sides, just to be favorable and understandable to both characters. So I do get that part, being fair to both sides and just saying, hey, Saitama does have the argument to say that he can see him and that, hey, even in Bleach, seems like, physical power does equal up to, spiritual power, which is kind of weird because, why would physical strength equal spiritual strength if we're talking about how Aizen's unconscious, passive spirit power would erase people who don't have spirit power, right? So, like, why is physical strength a factor? I don't know. And honestly, it's not really much of an argument that a lot of people use because when we're talking about Aizen, well, it just okay. First of all, it is an argument that first of all that is an interesting power set of Aizen that doesn't get talked about a lot, and it kind of gets overlooked because it is still a passive hacks, right? So we're talking about the power Aizen passively leaks out, affecting those who are weaker than him. And I'm sure he's going to talk about the strength section in a little bit. So I'm going to withhold my judgment. But again, so that kind of does circle back a little bit to the point I was making in the first place. Why are we bringing up physical strength when, again, you just say, it's the spiritual power? And, out of Aizen's own mouth, it's he even freaking says it. So Aizen's either a dumbass or he doesn't know what he's talking about, or we need to go and reread Bleach together, as a class. We need to hold hands, do some deep diving, read between the lines, okay? And I might make that a live stream. We could do some deep diving into that because, with Bleach, you can always go back and reread and learn something new or see something in a way you probably never thought of it before. Even to this day, I feel like, there's just a lot of lore that and stuff that people can still make to this day. You know, Bleach is just like that. Anyways, I'm kind of rambling. Sorry, the pen. Continue
To
me.
it. Regarding raw power, Saitama has been a controversial character in recent years. At the climax of the Monster Association arc, Saitama fights Garo, the hero hunter who took a piece of God's power, giving him the power to shake the entire universe just by appearing. Garo would copy Saitama's full power, and the two would clash serious punches and leave a massive dark hole in the sky, destroying countless stars. In later chapters, we see galaxies in the background of Saitama and Garo's fight, meaning, visually speaking, we should be able to perceive galaxies from Earth, but there is no light left in the sky where Saitama and Garo punched. The two then continue their battle, with them both growing astronomically, and Saitama far surpassing the previous serious punch feat. It gets so bad that despite the fact that Garo is much stronger than Saitama was at the start of the fight, Saitama merely sneezing can overwhelm Garo by the end of the battle. This means that Saitama's literal sneeze might pack more of a punch than serious punch squared, although you could question this seeing as the sneeze didn't even destroy the iron core of Jupiter. That whole point aside, Saitama and Garo did outright destroy countless stars or countless galaxies with a shockwave, and they were also hit by the fully concentrated recoil of that blast and were unscathed. This means Saitama should bare minimum reach multi-solar system to multi-galaxy levels of power during this fight. This level of power is consistent with Blast fearing for what Garo would do if he could run free in this dimension, and wanted to pull him to another dimension for their conversation. And of course, Garo is stated to have the power to shake the entire universe, a multi-solar system level feat.
Okay, I really don't think people kind of get how big of a jump multi-solar system to galaxy level is, because that is a very, very big jump. And in my honest opinion, it is a very big assumption to say that Saitama is galaxy level, bro. I mean, sure, if we take the graph into effect, we can maybe say he's multi-solar system plus 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 small galaxy if we squint at it just right. And then we add Professor Fiction's argument on top of it. And, then we're like, okay, yeah, okay, I can see him. We could maybe say he can run hands with some Boo Saga characters, which is, oh, it's so funny to me. It's funny to me, honestly, because the whole thing hinges on this graph and Saitama vaguely jumping leaps and bounds into power. Like, sure, we know he's always growing infinitely in strength, but we don't know how much. We don't know how fast. He's at least getting stronger than himself from the day before. But, like, what does that even mean? Because we don't really have a good benchmark to set off. I guess we are, or maybe we do. We could say, like, okay, he's planet level this day. Next level, he's like planet plus. Then the other day, he's planet plus. Then the other day, he's planet plus 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 plus. And it just keeps going. But like again, it's just really vague. And honestly, now that we know Saitama's special sauce and how it all works, it kind of doesn't feel as special anymore. And not that Saitama was ever a one punch man, because we can point to a few examples in the story when he didn't one punch opponents. And that makes Saitama fans very mad when you point that out. But still funny to this day. But anyways, we're going to move on and just let them give it to him galaxy level bare minimum. But like I said, why does that matter? Well, we'll wait till he scales Aizen before we bring it up again.
During the Heavenly Ninja Party arc, we are introduced to Empty Void, the leader of the ninja village with the ability to jump into the higher dimensions and cut through reality itself. By the end of the arc, Saitama is able to catch this dimension-cutting blade with his bare hands and yank Empty Void out of the higher dimension. This obviously has insane scaling implications, but This actually got retconned as the ninja arc got redrawn, with Empty Void never getting these higher dimensional feats or statements. Therefore, Saitama's best feats at this point are still confined to destroying multiple galaxies at absolute best. Moving on to Aizen, there's quite a bit to talk about for the former captain of Squad 5. For this video, we will be using Aizen from the Thousand Year Blood War, meaning this is after his battle with Ichigo where the Hogyoku massively amped him. During the battle with Kisuke and Isshin, the two note they can't even sense Aizen's power anymore, despite the fact they were relative to Aizen in his base form. This is because Aizen became transcendent, which is represented in Bleach by characters no longer being able to sense one another. If you are massively above your opponent, they can no longer feel your spirit energy. This is insane, seeing as people like Shunsui and even his lieutenant Nanao are able to sense Yamamoto's power, yet Aizen in his base form dwarfed almost every other captain other than Yamamoto and possibly Unohana. This means the gap between Aizen and every other captain is bigger than Yamamoto versus Nanao, who didn't even have a Zanpakuto at that point. The likes of Ganju were also able to sense the release of Senjimaru's Bankai, something so powerful it shakes the three realms with just a flicker of their power. The three realms being the Living World, Soul Society, and Huecamundo. This has been a debate about the size of the three realms, with many people equating the Soul Society to just a planet or something, but that is not the case. The Soul Society is drawn as having massive night skies full of stars in the background at times, and naturally would need to be massive to encompass all the souls who pass on from the Living World, as the two are called parallel worlds. The Living World is clearly based on the real world universe, and saying it's not would be incredibly weird. And it would be the same as saying the One Punch Man universe isn't as big as the actual universe, and Saitama and Garo didn't actually destroy the stars, they just blocked the light or something.
Okay, so maybe my downplay is coming in the form of saying that Saitama isn't actually galaxy level, but like honestly, when the arguments came out that people were saying, oh, he only blocked the lights, or they only blocked the lights with the serious punch squared, or like they only pushed the stars away, I was so baffled because I'm like, what fighting manga with destruction feats do you know when someone's blowing up something in a cool manner? Is it just getting pushed away? Especially if the attack is coming from like an energy beam, even if it is a shockwave of a punch, it's basically like a giant energy beam, something kind of thing, you know? And the fact that even if it is just like a shockwave of their punch, how is a shockwave traveling through space? Like cartoon logic right there, if you will. But like that just makes it even more impressive that it's just a shockwave. So the power to do that has to go up. So like I said, my bias is just saying they're not galaxy level, but to say they didn't actually destroy the stars or, you know, at best destroy galaxies is super funny to me. And that is what I call true downplay right there. So I got to be like, in the contest of downplaying Saitama, the crown is yours. Oh, one who says that they only pushed the stars away.
Or something. Senjimaru is able to casually shake the three universe-sized realms, yet Aizen should still be superior to Zero Squad as a whole. After regaining the Almighty, Yuha defeats Ichibei, the leader of Zero Squad, and would go on to absorb the Soul King. Yuha's plan in the series is to destroy the three realms, and this is shown visually with Yuha's power blasting through celestial bodies. The Soul King himself is charged with holding all the realms in balance, and without him existing, the realms passively start to fall apart, yet Yuha is able to keep them in place as well. Even if you are skeptical about Yuha threatening to destroy the realms and said it was because of the Soul King, Yamamoto's Bankai outright threatened to burn away the entire Soul Society whenever he pulled it out. Yamamoto was so scared of this reality, he never used his Bankai for over 1,000 years until Yuha returned. Like I said earlier, the Soul Society is a parallel world to the living universe and shown visually with a sky full of stars. And Yamamoto's Bankai threatened to destroy the entire thing. Even if you said this was over time and wouldn't happen instantly, Unohana implies it will not take very long, as she pleads with Yamamoto to finish Yuha quickly before he destroys everything. Even if it took an entire day to defeat Yuha and destroy the Soul Society, Yamamoto's Bankai would be releasing multi-galaxy levels of energy every second, let alone him swinging his sword or something. Yuha not only defeats Yamamoto, but steals his Bankai and defeats the Zero Squad, which surpasses the entire 13 court guards, including Yamamoto. Aizen.
Okay, so I want to say I do give massive W's for the acknowledgement of the fact that it is pointed out that Bleach does have stars in their cosmology, and the fact that the human realm basically is the same as the living world. And kind of like he said, in One Punch Man, they are clearly based in a universe. So to say that they're not based in a universe is kind of weird at this point when all evidence leans towards it. And that's just the baseline evidence, when we could also use other visual storytelling evidence, like the fact that they have an encyclopedia of the stars. So clearly outer space is very well known, and it's clearly a universe. So like, yeah. But it's kind of funny to say, he says Yuha was blasting through planets or whatever, because I honestly didn't get that depiction. I just get that he's in the process of, quite literally destroying Soul Society, the freaking universe itself. But, potato, same conclusion, different outcomes of getting there. Kind of like Death Battle all over again. So I'm not going to really split hairs about it too terribly much. But I do also want to say that it is very, well, hang on one second. I'm losing my train of thought. Do 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 do. Ding. Okay, I remember now. Yeah, the point that he was saying, that the role of the Soul King was to quite literally support the existence of the three realms. And well, the Soul King is freaking dead. Spoiler alert. So who's supporting the existence of the three realms? And then some might say, oh, Mimihagi. No. Yuha absorbed Mimihagi. So again, I say, who's supporting the existence of the three realms? Yuha. He's the one with the power of the Soul King right now. So like, he's got to be the one to do it, because Ichigo can't. Like, he has no understanding of how to support universes with his power. Now, sure, they might have said if all else fails, they would just grab Ichigo and slap him in the cocoon, but that's other people forcing him to do it. So again, it's Yuha, the one who was quite literally maintaining the balance while fighting at the same time. And then, just because he could, he's like, okay, now it's time to destroy it all. Goodbye. But, again, he lost at the end of the day. So again, to say that Yuha can't destroy the universe or isn't affecting universal ranges is very silly to me. And again, this is 2026. We do cosmology scaling now.
Aizen then fights Soul King Yuha and can block his attacks. Even base Aizen could damage Yamamoto and survive Hado 96, let alone Transcendent Aizen, who is stated to surpass all Soul Reapers. So Aizen seems to have a pretty massive power advantage, with Saitama's best scaling being that he destroyed many galaxies when he was much weaker. Aizen can challenge and battle characters who threaten the entire universe, or multiple universe-sized realms. I've explained this in many of my other One Punch Man videos, such as Garo vs. Goku, but destroying a chunk of the night sky doesn't come even close to destroying the actual universe. The universe is composed of hundreds of billions of galaxies, and even if Saitama and Garo's blast reached the end of the universe and destroyed everything in its path, it would still be a fraction of what it takes to destroy the entire universe. Even Yamamoto's sword taking an entire day to destroy the universe would be above what Saitama and Garo did in that scene. Not only
Oh, okay, I get it now. We're giving Saitama the absolute maximum benefit of the doubt, because you and I both know he absolutely needs it in order to stand a chance. Like, I think that's kind of long established now, so I can go ahead and let my biases flow forth and just get them out the way. Okay, come on now. This is a bit of a little Saitama dunking session. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. It just is what it is. And maybe one and Murata will come through for One Punch Man, when the God fight comes around. And honestly, for the sake of One Punch Man as a story and manga, I really do hope they come through for the God fight because I really enjoyed the Saitama versus Garo fight. Honestly, I was hyped. I was up there hyped as all hell when I was like, oh my gosh, we're actually getting it. And I know I said, now that his secret sauce got exposed, it's kind of not cool anymore. And I do believe there was a way to handle the secret sauce and do it without, telling us how the secret sauce works. Just, make it a freaking epic fight. Just, oh, Garo broke his limiter and got an amp from God. Saitama having broken his limiter longer was just massively more powerful or something like that. And so the God amp was just needed in order to get Garo to Saitama's level. If anything, that would have probably been a lot funnier. Like he just needs a God amp just to get to Saitama's scale. And then we get to see that, multi-solar destruction. This is what's needed to compare to Saitama multi-solar system. Could you imagine how hard that would go? You'd got to be Cell Saga just to compare to Saitama, and that would maintain the aura, so people could still like aura wank him to be like, yeah, this dude would definitely sell the DBZ. Do you guys see this? Not even a fraction of his power. What are you talking about? I could totally see that. I could totally see it. But I mean, even if we want to give Saitama Universal, Yamamoto is also just up there too if we want to, get him there. So, like I said, looking at how you scale the realms, if you're calling them universes, then yeah, Yamamoto's just there. And he just outperforms anything Saitama can do just by existing, really. And again, Yamamoto also attacks the soul. And in Bleach, everything is on the soul. So they have soul potency scaling. So Saitama would kind of be like that low level spiritually aware person. You can't interact with him, you can't fight him and probably kill a hollow. But, as they go up and he meets like an Espada from the Iran car, like the Espada, this is the group, duh. So if he met like an Iran car or the Espada, no less, then I can probably see his soul just getting obliterated, to be honest.
Not only that, but Aizen has a myriad of hacks abilities that would make stopping Saitama an even easier ordeal. Aizen's main ability, his sword, Kyokusuigetsu, allows him to cast illusions on anyone who looks upon his sword. Once trapped in the illusion, Aizen can manipulate your five senses, including making you see people who aren't there or making Aizen appear as if he's someone else. You might think that Saitama's abilities to handle Phoenix Man's spiritual-based abilities mean he could see past Kyokusuigetsu, but Kyokusuigetsu works on other spiritual beings, as it manipulated all the centuries-old captains and even manipulated Yuha, who had the power to see and manipulate the future. Aizen would be able to make Saitama think he's in a supermarket during a sale or something for all eternity. The one weakness of Kyokusuigetsu is you can cancel it out.
Okay, the freaking McDonald's beeping is absolutely killing me right now because I freaking saw a picture of Aizen with a McDonald's hat. And so like implying Aizen works at McDonald's. And so this is absolutely killing me where just Aizen just warps himself in the illusion where he's just like, welcome to McDonald's, sir, how can I help you? And, and I can't right now. I'm too baked for this shit. But no, he's right. If Aizen gets off Kyoka Suigetsu, which he absolutely will, then it is absolutely GG's by that point because like you said, other spiritual beings get hit by it. And not only do they get hit by it, but these spiritual beings also have like a sixth sense, kind of like in Dragon Ball where they have ki sensing, like Bleach has that as well. And Aizen can distort that. So yeah, and also again, they're all spiritual beings in the first place. So this is affecting your soul in general. So you gotta have, go up a level in terms of, this is up a level in what Aizen or not Aizen, Saitama has dealt with in terms of, spiritual powers.
You can cancel it out by touching Aizen's blade, However, by the Thousand-Year Blood War, Aizen's sword has fused with his body and he can make it appear and disappear at will. Saitama wouldn't even know how Kyokusuigetsu works to be able to counter it, let alone touch his sword to begin with. There's also the matter.
Not to be that guy, but actually, by Thousand Year Blood War, he doesn't have that weakness anymore. But like, no, literally, he doesn't. Yuha himself says Aizen messes with his perception of time. While Aizen was locked up in Mukin, he couldn't speak. He couldn't move his arms or any of his limbs, so he couldn't even summon his sword to make Yuha look at it. Yet Yuha was under it anyways. So, again, so that weakness is just non-existent. The moment the fight starts and Saitama looks at Aizen, Saitama's in Kyokusuigetsu and it's GG from there.
There's also the matter of the Hogyoku, which allows Aizen to recover and adapt to anything that hits him. At various points of the Aizen arc, and later during the Thousand-Year Blood War, Aizen is heavily damaged by poison, or absorbed by Yuha's spirit energy, or annihilated by Ichigo's Mugetsu. Mugetsu being so powerful that even Aizen himself couldn't sense it, meaning it was transcendent over Aizen as well. But Aizen could still survive and regenerate back thanks to the Hogyoku. Each time he also comes back even stronger and with new abilities. Even if Aizen was hit by a punch from Saitama and it blew up half his body, or blasted a hole in him like the Deep Sea King, Aizen would be able to regenerate and get stronger until he eventually surpassed Saitama. Saitama, of course, can grow and adapt in response, although if the two started an endless battle of adapting to one another, Aizen would most likely come out on top as he is immortal, while Saitama doesn't have regeneration and would eventually die of old age. Unfortunately for our...
Honestly, if you ask me, Aizen's adaptation is just better than Saitama's by a long shot, and it's not even funny. I would even say it's not even close to who has the better adaptation. Like, we're trying to say Saitama's adaptation is a guy who broke his limiter, so all he does is punch stronger, and he adapts so he can punch more strongly, and that's literally it. Okay, he can maybe flick his wrist really hard, really strongly. He can maybe sneeze really strongly. He can maybe fart really strongly. But, at the end of the day, that's it. So you hit Aizen with all that, and then you have no deeper bag, and he's just kind of like standing there tanking it. Or, after after getting blown up and regenerating the next few hits and adapting, he's just like, that it. Is that all you got? I kind of expected more from a guy this strong, so skip to Malu, I solo you, boogaloo. But so it's really not good for Saitama. And I guess you could be like, oh well, he copied the zero causality punch, but like, okay, he had visual aid to do that, and it was also a technique. So kind of implying it's something he could learn to do, because not even Gaara could do it. So like it's just basically a skill issue, and Gaara lacked the skill, which is really funny to think of. Oh my gosh. Saitama has just truly got untapped potential. So I guess you can say that's just another benefit of the limiter, but it's really useless here in this fight. Like he said, Aizen just gets more powers too. So not only does he get stronger, he gets more powers. And also, the Hogyoku is literally just a reality warping, wish granting device. It was just said by Aizen. It fulfills wishes. So if he wants to warp and become something to beat Aizen, or not Aizen, Saitama, he's gonna beat him. End of the story.
Unfortunately for our bald-headed friend, he doesn't have much to deal with Aizen's overwhelming power and abilities. That's without mentioning the dozens of other Kido that Aizen has access to too, allowing him to move between dimensions, trap other people in dimensions, create barriers, sealing, and so on, which would all act as something else for Saitama to overcome. Of course, there's always the idea that Saitama is a fiction soloing gag character who one-punches everything because it's funny. I've discussed this at length many times, but Saitama's gag power is limited to what he's actually done. Gag character doesn't mean above fiction, but it's just a type of comedy-based character. Arale doesn't solo fiction just because she's a gag character, and neither does Bugs Bunny, SpongeBob, or Popeye. these characters are considered overpowered because of what they do with Toon Force or gag moments, but aren't automatically unstoppable because of that. Saitama's narrative as the One Punch Man isn't even consistent, as many characters such as Boros, Evil Natural Water, or Garo all survive his punches even when he's going all out. No matter how you look at it, Saitama himself said Garo was powerful enough to take his full power, and did many serious punches on him. The story allows for this to happen in defiance of the gag narrative, to allow for more serious story arcs and themes. Now, if Aizen and Saitama met in a crossover episode or something, written by one, it would probably go something like this. Saitama would accidentally run into Aizen in fake Karakura Town as he's monologuing about how he's a superior being, probably try erasing Saitama with his spiritual pressure, and when that doesn't work, he may try using his arsenal of Kido or slashing him with his sword. Saitama would think Aizen is a ninja like Sonic that's throwing funny looking fireworks or something, and play around with Aizen and making all of his efforts seem like a joke. Aizen would probably go crazy, thinking that Ichibei shaved his beard and lost some weight, and he's fighting the leader of the Zero Squad with his secret reality-shaking Bankai or something. Aizen would resort to using Kyoka Suigetsu, which he stopped using after becoming transcendent, and go for an attack while Saitama thinks he's reaching for a coupon, and he'd accidentally grab Aizen's sword through the illusion to be funny. He'd then one-punch him before Gin shows up, realizing he wasted the last 1,000 years, knowing this bald dude could have soloed Aizen the whole time. Let's just be honest, Aizen is exactly the type of character that fits in One Punch Man. A strong bad guy who refuses to believe anyone is stronger than him, and it's funny to imagine him freaking out while a bald dude in spandex walks through his Kurohitsugi. However, at this point, Saitama is not a fiction transcendent gag character, and we have to analyze their feats more objectively. Currently, Saitama caps at a threat to multiple galaxies, while Aizen is more of a universal or above level threat.
Yeah, all those actual gag characters that he just brought up, yeah, all of them are whooping Saitama's ass. Not even close. Especially Popeye. Oh man, y'all remember the Popeye versus Saitama death battle? Man, y'all remember Why Give Up 11? I wonder what that guy's doing. I wonder if he's doing well. I wonder if he's still winking Saitama. I should look him up and see what we got going on for him. I think that might be a good one. Bring him back to the channel. Maybe keep him around as a reoccurring character. But at the end of the day, that is the video. Basically, the conclusion, Aizen wins. He's stronger. He has better adaptation. If it, like you said, if it was written by one, then yeah, Aizen kind of is the guy that would be perfect for One Punch Man in the sense that he would be the kind of character it's poking fun at. And, all of Aizen's Kido would just serve to just hype up the fight and make it real flashy, as Saitama is just punching through everything and breaking through it like glass. And Aizen's just like, what the hell's going on? How is this possible? But again, the whole spiritual, the whole not getting erased by the spirit energy again, it's an interesting argument. To me. And I was just thinking about this as the video went on too, because how can, Ichigo, he's trading all his spiritual power supposedly for physical strength, but like, it's Bleach, right? It's all still spiritual beings fighting at the end of the day. So he's got to have some kind of spiritual power in order to be, well, I guess technically you don't need spiritual energy to hit a Shinigami. Again, that's also kind of getting into murky water, so I'm gonna just scoot past that. But it's still, at the end of the day, interesting because Ichigo's still in his soul body, so he's still being a spiritual energy or spiritual entity at the moment. And so it's kind of like, okay, so he traded all his spirit energy. Aizen's spirit energy erases those with no spirit energy, so dead Ichigo. So, and at least to me, that just has to mean Ichigo has to have spiritual energy of some form. And later on, I guess you could say we kind of do find out, yeah, he does. He was just hiding it all, and then he transcends Aizen's, or he can no longer even sense him. So Yeah, so we're kind of proven right at the end of the day that Ichigo indeed does still have his spiritual energy. He was just kind of dicking on Aizen with raw strength there for a moment, which is, that's my boy, that's my goat, that's my Chad right there. Can't imagine Ichigo losing. But yeah. So no. But also the funny thing about Aizen regenerating from Mugetsu is the fact that that is also him just blatantly regenerating from an existence erasing attack. So if anyone wants to wank Saitama and be like, oh, he punched you so hard you don't even exist, Aizen can come back from that anyway. So it really doesn't even matter. And a lot of people overlook that or probably don't even know that part about Ichigo, but that all ties in the fact that he's a Quincy, and Mugetsu being the blend of all his powers would obviously draw from his Quincy powers, especially, spoiler, old man Zangetsu is the Quincy power that, is controlling and nerfing or empowering Ichigo. So he's got heavy Quincy influence in that energy, and Quincy power erases souls. So, boom. Aizen's got low godly regeneration. So, yeah, he can tank Hakai. Chew on that, Dragon Ball fans.